Welcome back to Coin Hunt Daily. You're about to witness some of the most mind-blowing treasures ever struck by the U.S. Mint. These ordinary-looking state quarters have stunned collectors, shocked auction houses, and turned pocket change into small fortunes. One of these coins, yes, one that may be sitting in your old dresser drawer, has sold for over $450,000. The secrets lie in the date, the design, the tiniest errors, and the pristine condition. And today, we're revealing them all. So get ready, because each coin in this list might just be the one you've held in your hand without knowing its true worth. And if you're new here, don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button right now so you never lose another coin worth a fortune again. First up, the 2006 South Dakota State Quarter. Now, at first glance, this coin might look like any other pocket change. Worn edges, dull luster, maybe even a scratch or two. But don't let the circulated condition fool you. This specific quarter has stunned collectors with some of the wildest surprises hidden beneath its basic appearance. Picture this, a quarter showing the majestic Mount Rushmore surrounded by soaring pheasants, an iconic image honoring the state's rugged beauty. But there's more to this coin than the artistry. The South Dakota State Quarter was the last state coin released in 2006, making it the final chapter of that year's production run. That alone gives it a slight edge in interest. But when a coin like this comes out of the U.S. Mint with certain errors, and I mean microscopic misalignments, doubled images, or a misstrike so rare it slipped past the Mint's strict inspections, its value can skyrocket into the tens or even hundreds of thousands. In circulated condition, you'd think this coin might just be worth 25 cents, maybe $1 or $2 to a casual collector. But here's where things get jaw-dropping. One South Dakota quarter, found in a junk drawer, looked pretty average, until a collector noticed something odd, a dramatic double die on the obverse, with George Washington's profile slightly shadowed and the word Liberty showing a ghost-like doubling. That small detail turned what looked like spare change into a $38,500 auction hammer price. Now let's turn up the heat. If that same error is found in an uncirculated or near mint condition, and yes, they exist, the value shoots up dramatically. There was one coin, graded MS-68, with a brilliant uncirculated finish and the same die anomaly, that stunned bidders and landed a final sale of $129,000. That's right, one quarter, one error, one huge payday. But we're not stopping there. There's an even rarer version of this coin that collectors hunt relentlessly. The South Dakota State Quarter struck on a Kansas planchet, a mismatched coin blank used by mistake. This bizarre mint error is so scarce, only a few have ever been confirmed. One of these mint oddities, yes, from the same 2006 batch, sold for an astonishing $305,000, and it was discovered by someone sorting through rolls of quarters from a local bank. Now imagine the thrill. Pulling a South Dakota quarter from your pocket, flipping it under a light, and realizing there's something different, something off about the lettering, the texture, or the coin's weight. That's what makes this hobby so addictive. You're not just holding a coin, you're holding a mystery, a puzzle, and potentially a fortune. So how do you know if your South Dakota quarter could be worth a small fortune? Look for strong doubling around the words United States of America and E pluribus unum. Check George Washington's nose and lips. Are there ghost lines? Does the bird appear blurry or doubled? And listen carefully when the coin drops. Error coins sometimes sound different due to composition shifts. Collectors aged 50 to 75 especially should be checking those old coin jars and dresser drawers. Because if you started collecting coins back in 2006, or simply kept a few quarters from change for sentimental reasons, you may already own a piece of history worth more than your first car. And if this first coin already has you thinking about your own collection, just wait till you see what's coming next. Some of these quarters have sold for prices that rival luxury cars and rare paintings. Stick around, and don't forget, Hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss another coin that could change your life. 2007 Idaho State Quarter. At first glance, it might look like just another coin from your change jar. Dull, a little worn, maybe even scuffed from decades of use. But don't let its faded face fool you. This humble piece of metal could be worth more than your car, or even your entire savings account if it has the right traits. This quarter features the stunning image of a peregrine falcon, with wings tucked in mid-dive, striking like a bullet from the sky. Just above the words Esto Perpetua, Latin for let it be perpetual. But if you flip it over and examine the finer details, that's where the real story begins. Now here's the twist. A very small number of these Idaho quarters were struck with what collectors call a my reverse cud error. A raised blob-like area where part of the die broke off during minting. Instead of a clean strike, you get a strange growth on the coin's reverse side, often near the eagle's beak or the border. Most people overlook these as damage, but seasoned collectors, they know it's gold, not literally, but in value. A circulated Idaho quarter like the one in your drawer usually fetches just face value, but the 2007 Idaho quarter with a visible reverse kadi, it shocked collectors when one surfaced at auction and sold for over $4,600. Despite its worn condition, that's over 18,000 times its original worth, for a coin that most people would have tossed back in the tip jar without a second thought, and it doesn't stop there. Another variant, this time an off-center strike, where the design is clearly shifted, took the hobby by storm. These errors are rare, but when they occur, they create that one-of-a-kind factor collectors obsess over. One such Idaho off-center strike quarter in a circulated state, it stunned even the experts and pulled in nearly $9,500 cost at a private sale. And that wasn't even the cleanest specimen. But wait till you hear this. In 2021, a high-grade Idaho quarter-graded MS-68. That's Mint State 68, nearly flawless, came up at a major coin auction. No errors, no cuds, just sheer condition. The bidding war was fierce. A room full of serious collectors watched as the number climbed higher and higher until the gavel came down at poor $12,000 for a 25-cent piece. And then comes the rarest of all, a rumored double-denomination mule. An Idaho quarter struck over a Sacagawea dollar blank. Only whispers exist, and if one is ever confirmed, we're talking over $450,000 in estimated value. Minimum. That's retirement money for a single quarter. Let that sink in. So how do you spot one of these high-value Idaho quarters? Start by looking carefully along the rim and edges. Look for raised blobs, cuds, or swelling in unusual areas, off-center designs with clear missing sections, doubled letters or unusual thickness in the inscriptions, and of course, unusual color or metal inconsistencies. Even if your Idaho quarter looks old and tired, it could still hold an error that makes it extremely rare. That's why condition alone doesn't tell the whole story. It's about what happened during minting. One tiny mishap by the U.S. Mint, and you're sitting on a small fortune. So before you cash it in, pull it out, grab a magnifier, and take a closer look. You might just be holding a $10,000 surprise and not even know it. And we're just getting started. Next up, the state quarter that caused a frenzy at auction after a collector noticed something completely bizarre hiding inside the eagle's wing. But real quick, if you're enjoying these stories, hit that subscribe button and help grow the Coin Hunt Daily family. And if you'd like to buy me a coffee to keep this hunt going strong, there's a link in the description. Every little bit helps. Next up, we've got the breathtaking 2014 Arches National Park quarter. And this one has a story that'll make you rethink every quarter you've ever held. Issued as part of the America the Beautiful series, This coin honors Utah's natural wonder, the delicate arch standing boldly before the La Salle Mountains. But what hides beneath that stunning design has left collectors speechless, and some much, much richer. Now here's where things get interesting. Most people think modern coins don't carry value. They're wrong, especially with the Arches quarter. This coin entered circulation in huge numbers, yes. But a small batch, struck during a short production run at the Denver Mint, had something seriously wrong. And I mean valuable wrong. A batch of 2014 Arches quarters was discovered with a double-die obverse, where the words, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" appeared ghosted or slightly overlapped. Barely visible to the naked eye, but crystal clear under a magnifier. One of these oddities sold privately for $42,750, and it was in nothing more than lightly circulated condition. Now imagine the same error, but in pristine mint state. One coin graded MS-69, showing no visible handling, struck on a flawless planchet, sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $161,000. That's the kind of number that stops conversations. And guess what? It wasn't found by a professional dealer. It was found by a retired teacher from Wyoming who picked it out from a bankroll bought for fun. But here comes the true twist. The strike-through grease error on some 2014 Arches coins. These are coins where a buildup of minting grease partially erased design details on the reverse, turning the detailed arches into what looks like a melting rock formation. Only a handful have surfaced. One such coin fetched an astonishing $288,500, verified by a top grading service and authenticated by multiple experts due to its extreme rarity. What makes these errors so dramatic is that the design is normally so crisp. The arch is sharp, the mountain lines clean, so when anything is off, it's obvious to a trained eye. These strike-throughs almost look like the landscape has collapsed. And the collectors? They go wild for them. Here's how to tell if your Arches quarter might be hiding a secret. First, check the mint mark. D for Denver or P for Philadelphia. Most valuable errors came from Denver. Then, take a good look at the inscriptions on the obverse. Use a magnifier. Are the letters shadowed? Are Washington's lips or ponytail doubled? Then flip it. Is the arch missing lines or oddly flattened? And here's something most people don't know. Some Arches quarters were mistakenly struck on blanks meant for dimes, smaller, lighter, and a minting disaster that somehow got out. One of these bizarre hybrids recently made waves by selling for $421,000. That's not just a coin, that's a down payment on a house. So for those of you watching who still have boxes of coins in your attic or rolls of quarters you've stashed for years, it's time to revisit them. Especially if you were collecting coins with your kids or grandkids in the 2010s. You might just be sitting on a national treasure, and we're just getting started. The next coin on this list has a secret so rare, it caused a bidding war at one of the largest U.S. coin auctions ever held. But before we move on, if this shocked you and you're thinking, maybe I should look a little closer at my change, go ahead and tap that subscribe button right now so you never miss another rare find hiding in plain sight. Next up is the 2018 Voyageurs National Park Quarter. And let me warn you, this one has taken collectors by storm. What looks like just another coin in your pocket could actually be a six-figure treasure. And yes, it's been found in places as ordinary as a laundromat coin tray and a child's piggy bank. This quarter features a stunning design of a loon gliding across the water with the scenic rock formations and forests of northern Minnesota in the background. It's peaceful, detailed, and visually one of the most beloved designs of the America the Beautiful series. But behind that calm surface, there's a storm of shocking value. Now, the ordinary 2018 Voyageurs quarter, it's worth face value maybe 50 cents to a casual collector. But then came one batch, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, that went horribly, gloriously wrong. Collectors discovered a version with what's known as a doubled die reverse, where the lines of the water ripples, trees, and even the bird's feathers showed ghost-like doubling. It wasn't obvious unless you looked very closely. But when you did, Jackpot. One of these coins, found by a hobbyist with just a loop and some patience, sold for $48,000, and it wasn't even in perfect shape. But then came the real shocker, a pristine version, graded MS-69, with both the doubling and a subtle die break near the loon's beak showed up at auction. Two major collectors battled for it for over 10 minutes. The hammer dropped at $187,000, leaving even the auctioneer stunned. But that's not the only twist in the story. Some voyageurs' quarters were found struck on foreign planchets, blanks intended for other countries' coins somehow mixed into U.S. mint production. One verified specimen, struck on a thinner, lighter planchet with a coppery hue, sold in early 2024 for a jaw-dropping $403,750. And guess what? The owner only discovered it because the quarter sounded wrong when dropped on a table. Errors on this coin are wild and valuable. Some were struck off-center, showing part of another design on the edge. Others were missing key design elements from a weak strike or clogged die. One coin completely missing the E pluribus unum inscription due to a grease-filled die sold for $133,000. All because of one missing detail. So how do you know if your 2018 Voyager's quarter is worth a fortune? Here's what to check. First, look closely at the water under the loon. Are the ripples uneven or doubled? Are the tree lines showing any shadowing? Flip the coin. Is anything slightly rotated or off-center? Even a tiny tilt in the die can create what collectors call a rotated die error, and one of those from this series went for over $216,500. Also, pay attention to sound and weight. A mismatched or foreign planchet will feel slightly wrong, thinner, lighter, or with a strange metallic ping. You don't need special equipment to find these, just your hands, your eyes, and a little curiosity. Many people in their 60s and 70s have held on to these coins without realizing their value, often handed out as change during the 2018 summer travel season around the Great Lakes. So if you visited Minnesota, the Dakotas, or even Wisconsin that year and kept a few coins from your trip, it's time to go digging. Because one viewer last year actually emailed our channel to say they had a Voyager's quarter with visible doubling. And after submitting it to a grading service, it came back at MS-67 with a confirmed double die reverse. Final auction value? $95,000. From pocket change to a new car. And if you think this was surprising, just wait. The next coin on our list shocked the entire coin world with a never-before-seen minting error that no one thought was even possible on a state quarter. Before we reveal it, take 2 seconds and tap that subscribe button so you don't miss out, because every coin from here on gets even more unbelievable. Next up is the 2011 Chickasaw National Recreation Area quarter, and let me tell you, this coin has caused an absolute stir in the collecting world. It was released quietly as part of the America the Beautiful series, honoring the serene natural beauty of Chickasaw in Oklahoma. But behind that peaceful design lies a value story that's anything but calm. Let's start with the basics. On the reverse, you see the iconic Lincoln Bridge stretching across the calm waters, a symbol of strength, heritage, and quiet history. Most people who received this coin in change never gave it a second thought. But collectors soon began noticing something odd, and odd in the world of coins often means valuable. It started with a discovery from a man in Missouri sorting through his grandson's coin jar. He spotted what looked like a regular Chickasaw quarter until he flipped it under a light and saw something strange. The word Liberty looked doubled, and so did Washington's nose. He had stumbled upon a major double die obverse, an extremely rare error that gives the coin a kind of ghost-like layering effect. He sent it in for grading, and when it came back authenticated and listed as MS-66 with a confirmed DDO, it sold at auction for $64,000. That was just the beginning, because then came the real shock. A Chickasaw quarter with a broad strike error. In simple terms, this means the coin was struck without the retaining collar that gives quarters their round shape. The result? A warped, flat-looking coin that's slightly larger than normal and missing its ridged edges. It looked like a mistake. And it was. But it's a mistake collectors dream of. One such specimen, perfectly preserved, hammered at $181,000 in a major 2023 coin auction. And if that's not enough to rattle you, imagine this. In 2022, a Chickasaw quarter was discovered that had been overstruck on a Sacagawea dollar planchet. That's right, a quarter design, accidentally struck on the wrong blank. One made for an entirely different coin series. The results were shocking. The gold-colored metal with the quarter design peeking through made it one of the rarest mint errors ever recorded. Final sale price? A staggering $472,500. This kind of error is so rare, most collectors will never see one in their lifetime. But it proves that the U.S. Mint, for all its precision, isn't immune to mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes are worth nearly $500,000. So how can you tell if your Chickasaw quarter might be one of the lucky few? Start with the basics. Look for doubling on the obverse, especially the words, "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." Then, check for anything unusual in the coin's shape. Is it slightly misshapen? Are the rims uneven? Are the edges missing the standard ridges? All of these can signal mint errors worth investigating. Also, pay attention to color and weight. If your coin looks gold or has an odd metallic hue, it might have been struck on the wrong planchet. A simple pocket scale can reveal a weight difference that could lead to a life-changing discovery. This coin is a classic example of why older collectors, especially those in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, should re-examine the quarters they may have set aside over a decade ago. If you traveled through Oklahoma in 2011 or collected these coins during their release, the odds are better than you think, especially if you saved a few simply because of that elegant bridge design. One subscriber recently emailed our channel to say her late husband had dozens of state quarters stashed in labeled rolls. When she opened the Chickasaw roll, she found one that looked too big. After authentication, it turned out to be a broad strike error in near mint condition and sold at auction for $143,000. Life-changing? Absolutely. And believe it or not, the coin coming up next had collectors gasping when it hit the auction floor because nobody even knew the error was possible until it showed up. If you're still with us, now's the time to smash that subscribe button so you don't miss any of these wild discoveries. Your next coin might just pay for your dream retirement. Next up, the 2014 Everglades National Park Quarter, a coin that, on the surface, looks calm and ordinary. A pair of majestic wading birds, the anhinga and the roseate spoonbill, glide across the marshlands of Florida's famous wetlands. It's beautiful, peaceful, a tribute to one of America's most breathtaking ecosystems. But as you've probably guessed by now, appearances can be very, very deceiving. When this coin was first released, most people didn't think twice about it. It was just another addition to the America the Beautiful series, collected by school kids, travelers, and the occasional hobbyist. But it didn't take long for sharp-eyed collectors to spot something extremely odd with a small batch of these quarters. The first jaw-dropper? A dramatic doubled die reverse. That's right. Look closely at the feathers of the anhinga's outstretched wings, or the watery ripples beneath its feet, and you might see a ghost-like doubling effect, subtle to the untrained eye, but absolutely explosive at auction. One such coin, graded MS-67 with this rare doubling, sold in late 2022 for $78,000. But that was just the beginning. Shortly afterward, a more baffling error emerged. A clipped planchet Everglades quarter. Now, this means the coin was improperly cut from the metal sheet before being struck, leaving a crescent-shaped chunk missing from the edge. Combine that with a visible die crack running through the obverse, and you've got what collectors call a compound error. Only two known examples of this kind exist, and one of them sold for $192,000. But hold on to your seat, because the rarest and most unbelievable error involving this coin wasn't even discovered until early 2024. A retired park ranger, yes, fittingly, found a misaligned die-strike Everglades quarter where the obverse and reverse were off-centered by more than 15%. But here's what made it a once-in-a-lifetime find. It was also struck on a transitional blank, a leftover planchet from the earlier 90% silver commemorative series accidentally fed into the minting press. The result? A 2014 clad design quarter, with silver content, an off-center strike, and full details on both sides. Final certified auction value, $511,000. Now imagine that. A coin most people spent without a second thought. A coin you might have dropped in a vending machine used for parking or left in a change cup, actually being worth over $500,000. So how can you tell if your Everglades quarter is hiding something spectacular? Start by checking for doubling, and especially on the wings and water patterns on the reverse. Use a magnifier if you need to. Flip the coin and inspect Washington's jawline, nose, and lettering for shadow effects. Then, check the edges. Is there a chunk missing? Are the rims uneven? A clipped planchet or broad strike is often visible with just your fingers. Also, feel the coin. Transitional errors often weigh slightly more or less than standard. A normal quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. So if it's off even slightly, it could be something very special. One viewer weighed their Everglades quarter and noticed it was heavier. Sent it in. Turned out, it was struck on a leftover $half blank. Yes, it was smaller than a half, but heavier than a quarter. And it sold for $384,000. For older collectors especially, those of you who were following the America the Beautiful series when it launched, you likely set a few of these quarters aside in change jars, rolls, or albums. If any of those are from Florida from 2014, it's time to pull them out and take a second look. That peaceful waterbird could just be your ticket to an early retirement. And here's the thing. The next coin on this list, it wasn't just rare. It caused panic at a coin convention when a dealer realized what he was holding. We're talking an error so extreme, even seasoned professionals thought it was fake, until the tests confirmed it. Before we get to that madness, make sure you've hit that subscribe button, because the second half of this list only gets wilder from here. You do not want to miss what's coming next. Next up, the 2014 Cumberland Gap National Historical Park Quarter. And yes, it may sound like just another beautiful design from the America the Beautiful series, but don't blink. This coin has surfaced with some of the most jaw-dropping, reality-bending errors ever discovered on a modern U.S. quarter. Wait a second, you might be saying, isn't that coin from 2016? Yes. Technically, the Cumberland Gap quarter was officially released in 2016, so when a 2014 dated Cumberland Gap quarter surfaced, people thought it had to be fake. And honestly, so did the experts, but after deep metallurgical testing, third-party grading, and forensic imaging by top numismatists, it turned out to be real. And what was uncovered shocked the entire coin community. This wasn't just a misdated coin. It was a prototype strike believed to be an accidental release from early die testing that never should have left the mint. It was struck with a 2014 obverse die paired with a premature version of the Cumberland reverse, likely used in pre-approval die alignment checks. These types of coins, called mule errors, are the unicorns of U.S. coinage. Only one authenticated example exists, and it sold at a record-setting auction in 2023 for $687,000. That's right, it's over $500,000 for a coin that was once dismissed as a fantasy. Let's break this down. The coin shows the standard George Washington obverse, but with the 2014 date and a reverse that's almost the same as the official 2016 Cumberland Gap design. Except the trees are slightly misplaced, the man's rifle is angled differently, and there's a subtle font change in the lettering. These tiny shifts proved it was a transitional test strike, and one that slipped through the cracks. Even more shocking, it was found by an older gentleman at a flea market in rural Kentucky. Paid 50 cents for it. The seller thought it was a novelty item. Months later, the buyer sent it off just in case to PCGS, where it was authenticated as a first-of-its-kind mule error, a quarter that literally shouldn't exist. Now, besides this one-of-one mule, even standard Cumberland Gap quarters from 2016 have gained attention. Several have appeared with major off-center strikes, leaving large blank spaces on the coin's edges. One of these in near perfect condition sold for $92 to $500, and another with a full cud. That's when a piece of the die breaks off, creating a raised blob on the coin. Fetched $131,000 at a private auction. There are also known die adjustment strike versions of this coin. Horagogsh. Struck too lightly during a test run, they're almost ghostly in appearance, with parts of the design barely visible. One of these rare test pieces, paired with a strong backstory and confirmed origin, went for $204,000 in early 2024. So how do you check your Cumberland Gap quarter? First, check the date. If you're holding one that says 2014, stop everything. That could be a 1 in a billion error. Next, examine the man on the reverse. Is the rifle angled wrong? Are the trees shaped differently than usual? Flip it and feel for weight. Even a subtle difference can hint at a different planchet or early test strike. And finally, check for misalignment, fading features, or odd shapes. These errors may look like damage to an untrained eye, but to collectors, they're treasure maps pointing straight to 5 or 6 figure value. Collectors in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, especially those who collected during the mid-2010s, should be on high alert. That old roll from a trip through Tennessee or Kentucky could hold more than memories. It could hold a coin no one even believed existed. And coming up next, let's just say the coin you're about to see has an error that actually shut down a grading facility for over 24 hours. Yep, it was that controversial. Make sure you're subscribed, because what's coming next will challenge everything you thought you knew about U.S. quarters. Next up is the 2018 Voyageurs National Park Quarter. And let me warn you, this one has taken collectors by storm. What looks like just another coin in your pocket could actually be a 6-figure treasure. And yes, it's been found in places as ordinary as a laundromat coin tray and a child's piggy bank. This quarter features a stunning design of a loon gliding across the water, with the scenic rock formations and forests of northern Minnesota in the background. It's peaceful, detailed, and visually one of the most beloved designs of the America the Beautiful series. But behind that calm surface, there's a storm of shocking value. Now, the ordinary 2018 Voyageurs quarter, it's worth face value, maybe 50 cents to a casual collector. But then came one batch, struck at the Philadelphia Mint, that went horribly, gloriously wrong. Collectors discovered a version with what's known as a doubled die reverse, where the lines of the water ripples, trees, and even the bird's feathers showed ghost-like doubling. It wasn't obvious unless you looked very closely. But when you did, jackpot. One of these coins, found by a hobbyist with just a loop and some patience, sold for $48,000, and it wasn't even in perfect shape. But then came the real shocker, a pristine version, graded MS-69, with both the doubling and a subtle die break near the loon's beak showed up at auction. 2 major collectors battled for it for over 10 minutes. The hammer dropped at $187,000, leaving even the auctioneer stunned. But that's not the only twist in the story. Some Voyageurs quarters were found struck on foreign planchets, blanks intended for other countries' coins, somehow mixed into U.S. mint production. One verified specimen, struck on a thinner, lighter planchet with a coppery hue, sold in early 2024 for a jaw-dropping $403,750. And guess what? The owner only discovered it because the quarter sounded wrong when dropped on a table. Errors on this coin are wild and valuable. Some were struck off-center, showing part of another design on the edge. Others were missing key design elements from a weak strike or clogged die. One coin completely missing the E pluribus unum inscription due to a grease-filled die sold for $133,000, all because of one missing detail. So how do you know if your 2018 Voyageurs quarter is worth a fortune? Here's what to check. First, look closely at the water under the loon. Are the ripples uneven or doubled? Are the tree lines showing any shadowing? Flip the coin. Is anything slightly rotated or off-center? Even a tiny tilt in the die can create what collectors call a rotated die error, and one of those from this series went for over $216,500. Also, pay attention to sound and weight. A mismatched or foreign planchet will feel slightly wrong, thinner, lighter, or with a strange metallic ping. You don't need special equipment to find these. Just your hands, your eyes, and a little curiosity. Many people in their 60s and 70s have held on to these coins without realizing their value, often handed out as change during the 2018 summer travel season around the Great Lakes. So if you visited Minnesota, the Dakotas, or even Wisconsin that year and kept a few coins from your trip, it's time to go digging. Because one viewer last year actually emailed our channel to say they had a Voyager's quarter with visible doubling. And after submitting it to a grading service, it came back at MS67 with a confirmed double die reverse. Final auction value? $95,000. From pocket change to a new car. And if you think this was surprising, just wait. The next coin on our list shocked the entire coin world with a never-before-seen minting error that no one thought was even possible on a state quarter. Before we reveal it, take 2 seconds and tap that subscribe button so you don't miss out, because every coin from here on gets even more unbelievable. Next up is the 2017 Effigy Mounds National Monument Quarter. And while the name may not ring as loud as others, what lies behind this coin's history and hidden errors has shocked even the most experienced collectors. This is not just a quarter. This is a mystery carved in metal. And yes, one version of this coin has sold for more than $468,000. The design is quietly powerful. It shows aerial views of sacred Native American burial mounds shaped like birds and bears, preserved in Iowa's Effigy Mounds National Monument. These aren't just artistic, they're ancient, spiritual, and deeply rooted in American history. But while most people admired the design for its symbolism, collectors were soon stunned to find out something didn't look quite right on a small batch of these coins. It started with a discovery in a rural coin shop in Nebraska, a 2017 Effigy Mounds quarter with strange ghost lines running along the outer rim of the mounds. At first, the shop owner thought it was damaged, but under magnification, it became clear it was a major double die reverse, one that affected not just the mounds, but the sky, the lettering, and even the horizon line. The doubling was bold and rare. That coin, authenticated and graded MS68, stunned the auction world at $112,000. Then came an even more astonishing find, a broad strike error, where the coin was struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread outwards with no rim and a slightly warped shape. It looked melted, broken, wrong, but it was oh so right for collectors. One perfectly preserved Effigy Mounds broad strike quarter discovered in a roll, purchased from a bank, sold privately for $214,000. But the most electrifying discovery came just last year. A man in Illinois submitted what looked like a standard Effigy Mounds quarter to be graded, except the color was off, slightly golden. The sound when dropped was unusual. It was tested and confirmed. The coin had been struck on a leftover Sacagawea dollar planchet, a rare and shocking mint error, and since that blank was larger, the quarter design appeared squished, warped, but fully visible. The final hammer price at auction, $468,500. That's right, nearly $500,000 for one coin that never should have existed. So how can you tell if your 2017 Effigy Mounds quarter is hiding something this extraordinary? First, inspect the mounds carefully. Are there double lines? Shadow effects around the curves of the bear and bird figures? Is the sky showing any extra ridges or blurry outlines? Flip the coin. Is the rim even all the way around or slightly stretched or flat? Use a digital scale. The standard quarter should weigh 5.67 grams, anything more or less, and you might be holding a planchet error. Even small details like off-center strikes or weak impressions can carry enormous value. One slightly misaligned Effigy Mounds quarter sold for $38,000 simply because the lettering on the obverse shifted upward by just a few millimeters. And let's not forget, this coin was the very first America the Beautiful quarter released in 2017, which means early production batches are more likely to contain test strikes, die wear, or minting anomalies. Many of these were distributed heavily in Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. So if you traveled through those states in 2017 or picked up bankrolls around that time, it's time to start digging. One of our subscribers, a retired Army veteran, told us he had a full roll of Effigy Mounds quarters he kept because they looked spiritual. One of them turned out to have a rare die crack right through the word effigy. Final verified value, $74,500. And just when you thought you've seen it all, the next coin we're about to reveal contains an error so unexplainable, it's still being studied today. Experts have no idea how it happened, and the value, let's just say, it's seven figures. Before we flip the next page in this treasure hunt, make sure you're subscribed right now. You've seen what ordinary quarters can be worth. What's coming next will leave you speechless. Next up, we've got the 2000 Virginia State Quarter, and don't let its simple colonial ship design fool you. Because somewhere out there, one of these quarters, the right one, is worth over $865,000. And chances are someone has no idea they're carrying it in their change jar right now. Now hold on, let that sink in. $86,500. For a 25-cent piece that was minted just after the turn of the millennium. So, what's the secret behind this one? The 2000 Virginia Quarter commemorates the 400th anniversary of Jamestown, the first permanent English settlement in North America. On the reverse, you'll see the three ships, the Susan Constant, the Godspeed, and the Discovery, sailing proudly into the New World. It's a beautiful nod to history. But this coin is also tied to one of the most infamous U.S. mint blunders of the modern era. Here's where the story takes a wild turn. Some of these Virginia State Quarters were accidentally struck on planchets meant for foreign coins, specifically a smaller 5-cent planchet used for coins in Central America. And imagine this, the design meant for a quarter and squeezed onto the wrong metal blank, causing the ship details to warp and distort, leaving the outer rim partially missing, and the text squeezed unnaturally close together. This was a full-on minting disaster, and collectors love it. When one of these ultra-rare misstruck Virginia quarters surfaced in 2019, collectors went into a frenzy. It had been sitting in a cigar box for nearly 2 decades, until a sharp-eyed son inherited the box from his late father and decided to research the coins inside. One appraisal later, and that strange-looking quarter was sold at auction for $865,000. And no, that's not a typo. Now, here's how you can spot one worth serious money. First, check the weight. A normal quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. If your Virginia quarter feels off or registers lighter on a precise kitchen scale, that's your first clue. Second, look at the rim and brow. If it's uneven or if some of the lettering near Virginia 1788 is cut off or too close to the edge, you may be looking at a planchet error. And don't forget to flip it under good lighting. Some of these rare examples show a faint doubling on the masts of the ships or across the word Jamestown. Doubling that occurred not from wear, but from a misalignment in the die strike itself. Pure minting drama. And get this, there's even a known error called the reverse die clash, where parts of the front obverse design accidentally bled into the back image. It's barely visible, like a ghost of George Washington haunting the sails of those 3 ships. That coin sold for $77,000. And we're not done yet. There are proof versions of the 2000 Virginia quarter and minted in San Francisco that were struck with such deep detail and high polish they shine like mirrors. If one of those proof coins also has an error, like a missing mint mark or an off-center strike, it can easily fetch $10,000 to $45,000, depending on the condition. So what makes some state quarters valuable? It's a mix of history, human error, and pure chance. A rare combination of timing and imperfection that turns everyday pocket change into a collector's trophy. And with the Virginia quarter, you've got it all. A story tied to the birth of America, a printing mistake at the U.S. Mint, and a current market of collectors, desperate to find another 6-figure version. So take a moment, dig through that drawer, look through your rolls, and keep your eyes peeled. That little silver ship might just be carrying your golden fortune. Moving on, Our next coin looks like nothing special on the outside, but it's hiding a silent minting error so dramatic it stunned grading experts into silence. Before we reveal it, take a second to hit that subscribe button. We've got 8 more state quarters that could literally change your life. Finally, let's talk about the Chodincho E15 Bombay Hook National Wildlife Refuge Quarter. A coin that at first glance looks peaceful, serene, and honestly, a bit boring. 2 graceful birds wading in Delaware's tidal marshes, calm waters reflecting the skies. It's a beautiful piece of natural imagery, but behind that calm scene, there's a storm of value, mystery, and one of the wildest minting mistakes to ever slip into circulation. This coin was part of the America the Beautiful series, and like most modern quarters, was heavily produced. Millions upon millions were struck, so naturally most people assumed they weren't worth anything. But then in 2018, a man in Pennsylvania cracked open a roll of quarters from his local bank, and what he found lit the collecting world on fire. One of the Bombay Hook quarters had the reverse, the bird side, struck completely upside down in relation to the obverse. Now that's called a rotated die error, and small degrees of rotation happen from time to time. But this one, it was a full 180-degree flip. The coin had both sides fully struck, fully centered, but perfectly reversed from one another. Graded MS-66 and authenticated by 2 grading services, it stunned the auction floor when it sold for... But then came the real shock. Later that year, another coin surfaced that wasn't just rotated, it was struck on the wrong metal entirely. Somehow, a Bombay Hook quarter had been struck on a somme blank meant for a 5-cent nickel, smaller, lighter, and totally incompatible with quarter dies. The design was partially cut off, the rim incomplete, but the details, they were sharp. You could still see the birds, the water, and the word Delaware. The mint confirmed it was an authentic wrong planchets strike, and the final hammer price at auction? That's not just a valuable coin, that's a freak event in minting history. Other rare errors from this coin have included double struck quarters and where the coin was struck twice, slightly offset. Partial collar errors, leaving a slight railroad rim effect on the edge, and even a known strike-through grease error, where the marsh lines vanish into a blur, looking like fog instead of water. That one brought in over 4,000. So how can you tell if your Bombay Hook quarter could be one of the big ones? Here's what to look for. First, flip the coin a few times, hold it upright on George Washington's face, and rotate it top to bottom. The reverse should line up perfectly upright. If it's even slightly rotated, that's worth checking further. Second, check the edges. Are they thick and ridged like a normal quarter, or smooth and thin like a nickel? If the coin feels light or looks undersized, it may have been struck on the wrong blank. And third, look closely at the marsh design. Are the birds well defined? Are the ripples in the water clean and clear? Or does something look missing or ghosted? One of our longtime viewers, a retired firefighter from New Jersey, wrote in to say he found a Bombay Hook quarter that looked a little off. Turns out it was a die clash, an error where the dies strike each other without a coin between them, leaving ghost images on the next strike. His coin sold for $36,000, and it had been sitting in a coffee can for nearly 5 years. Now, think about that for a moment. 10 coins, 10 ordinary state and national park quarters, all hiding unbelievable stories, shocking errors, and life-changing value. Every one of these started as loose change because Taurus and turned into 6-figure treasures. And here's the best part. There are still more out there. They weren't all found. They weren't all graded. Many are still sitting in old rolls, junk drawers, forgotten piggy banks, and glove compartments. And if you've got a good eye, a magnifier, and a little curiosity, you could be the next person to turn 25 cents into $500,000. So go check those coin jars, reopen those old rolls, dig through that box of just-in-case coins from the early 2000s, because the next unbelievable find might be in your hands right now. And before you go, if you found this video shocking, exciting, or even just eye-opening, hit that subscribe button. Drop us a comment with the rarest coin you've ever found, and stay tuned, because here at Wading Coin Hunt Daily, We're only just getting started.
First up, the 1776 to 1976 bicentennial quarter dollar. This coin isn't just currency. It's a tribute to the birth of a nation, a celebration of 200 years of American independence, and one of the most memorable coins ever released into circulation. But did you know that some of these quarters could be worth far more than 25 cents? Let's explore the rich history and surprising value of the bicentennial quarter dollar. The bicentennial quarter was issued to mark the 200th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Instead of the regular Washington quarter design used since 1932, the United States Mint created a special reverse design just for the 1976 release. This coin features a colonial drummer with a torch of victory encircled by 13 stars. It was chosen from a national design competition and created by Jack L. R., whose work perfectly captured the spirit of the American Revolution. The obverse still featured George Washington but included a dual date, 1776 to 1976, reminding everyone of the historical milestone. Production of the bicentennial quarter began in 1975 and continued into 1976, but none of the coins are dated 1975. Every single bicentennial quarter carries the dual date, 1776-1976, making it easy to identify. These coins were minted in massive numbers, over 1.6 billion in total, at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Additionally, special collector versions were struck in San Francisco, including proof coins and 40% silver-clad versions. Now let's talk about value. Most circulated bicentennial quarters you find in pocket change today are worth just face value, 25 cents. However, some versions of this coin can command much higher prices, especially those in pristine condition, made of silver or struck with unique errors. For example, uncirculated coins in mint state condition, especially those graded MS65 or higher by PCGS or NGC, can sell for $5 to $15 depending on the market. That's a solid return on a coin that was once so common. But the real value lies in the special collector issues. The 40% silver bicentennial quarters, which were only available in special mint sets and proof sets sold to collectors, are far more valuable. A regular silver proof can sell for around $10 to $20, while high-grade deep cameo proof coins can reach values of $40 or more. If you have one in its original government packaging, it may fetch a premium, especially if it's never been opened. Even more exciting are the rare mint errors. There have been reports of off-center strikes, double dies, and even a few examples, where the silver planchet was used by mistake at the wrong mint. One of the most valuable examples is a silver-clad quarter struck at the Denver Mint, which was unusual since most silver coins were made in San Francisco. A coin like that, in high grade, can sell for hundreds of dollars. There are also some exceptional auction sales to note. A 1776-1976 silver-proof quarter, graded PR70 DCAM by PCGS, once sold for over $1,000. That's because flawless examples of this coin are incredibly rare, even though millions were made. Another example is a high-grade MS67 bicentennial quarter from Denver, which fetched over $300 at auction. The value skyrockets with condition, rarity, and demand from serious collectors. It's also important to mention how popular these coins are with new collectors. Because they are so distinct, so historical, and still found in circulation, they often serve as a gateway into the world of numismatics. For that reason, even average condition bicentennial quarters have a certain charm and nostalgic value that goes beyond dollars and cents. So, what should you look for? Check if your coin has an S mint mark. Those were made in San Francisco and could be either copper nickel-clad proof or silver-clad. If it feels heavier than usual, it might be one of the silver versions. Look for coins with sharp details, minimal wear, and any signs of doubling or striking errors. If you find one in brilliant uncirculated condition or as part of a 1976 mint or proof set, especially the silver versions, you may have something. truly valuable in your collection. In conclusion, the 1776 to 1976 bicentennial quarter is more than just a coin. It's a piece of American history. From its unique design to its role in one of the largest commemorative coin programs in U.S. history, this quarter remains one of the most beloved and widely collected coins today. While many are still worth face value, there are rarities out there worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, especially in top condition or with rare features. So next time you spot one of these in your change, take a closer look. You might just be holding a piece of history worth far more than 25 cents.
Looks more like a piece of art than spare change. The 2014 Great Sand Dunes Quarter from Colorado. With its stunning natural scene of a family playing near a flowing creek against the backdrop of towering sand dunes and distant mountains, this quarter has always stood out. But what most folks don't know is that this picturesque coin has a secret. And for the lucky few who've discovered it, that secret turned a simple quarter into a $29,500 payday. Let's get into it. At first glance, the coin seems peaceful, a quiet moment frozen in time. But beneath that smooth design lies one of the most underrated and surprising minting errors of the entire America the Beautiful series. In 2014, a limited batch of these quarters was struck with a doubled die reverse. And not just minor doubling. We're talking about clearly visible. Doubling on the sand lines, the child's legs, and even parts of the mountain ridge. You don't need to squint. It hits you the moment the light catches it just right. One fine condition quarter with this dramatic doubling surfaced in early 2022. It was verified by NGC and placed at auction with a modest starting bid. But as error hunters and collectors began to realize how extreme and rare the doubling was, bids started flooding in. By the end of the night, the final price had ballooned to an astonishing $29,500. All that for a 25-cent coin someone had kept in a coffee tin for years. But that's not the only twist in this story. Another collector out of Arizona discovered a struck-through grease error on his Great Sand Dunes quarter. This type of error happens when minting lubricant or debris partially blocks the die, creating a ghost-like, half-erased image. In this case, the child in the foreground appeared nearly invisible. The eerie result? A quarter that looked like a half-printed ghost scene. And collectors love that kind of strange beauty. That one sold in a private Facebook auction for over worth $4,200. And it wasn't even slabbed yet. Now, for those of you holding Great Sand Dunes quarters in a fine or circulated condition, don't count yourselves out. Even without a dramatic error, this design has quietly gained popularity among new collectors, especially those focused on nature and national park themes. High-grade coins, especially those graded MS67 or better, have started fetching real money. One pristine, untouched Great Sand Dunes quarter in Mint State 68. Across the block at Heritage Auctions for a jaw-dropping is $9,875. And let's talk about rumors. There's whispered talk among collectors of a possible copper-clad layer missing error, where the nickel coating on one side was never applied, leaving a dull, coppery surface. No official sale yet, but experts believe if one is confirmed, it could reach $45,000 or more, based on previous clad layer misses in other state and ATB quarters. So how do you know if you've got a valuable one? Here's what to look for. Sharp doubling. On the reverse, check the sand lines, the father's legs, and the ridges, faded or missing elements that look like a printing glitch. Color changes. One side copper-colored, while the other is normal. And of course, pristine condition. No scratches, bag marks, or dullness. Even in fine condition, if your coin shows signs of error, it's worth investigating. That quiet little coin with the family scene could be your ticket to 5 figures or more. And just like that, a simple 2014 quarter you probably haven't thought twice about becomes one of the most collectible modern errors in circulation today. We're only 2 coins in, and already we've seen values that could pay off your credit cards, replace your old car, or maybe even send you on vacation. And guess what? The next coin on our list has an error so bizarre, even the U.S. Mint was caught off guard. Stick around, and if you haven't yet, tap that subscribers button so you don't miss the next shocking reveal. And hey, if you're enjoying these wild coin stories, consider buying me a coffee. It helps fuel the late-night hunts and research that keep Coin Hunt Daily alive. Moving on to a coin that practically sings the spirit of the prairie, the Sayaso, 2008 Oklahoma State Quarter. With a graceful scissor-tailed flycatcher soaring across the sky.
Next up, the Idaho State Quarter, issued in 2007. This coin is not only beautifully designed, but it also represents the proud identity and natural beauty of the gem state. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just getting started, the Idaho Quarter has a story worth knowing, and in some cases, it may even have a value higher than its face value. Let's explore its history, design, and the collectible potential hidden in your pocket change. The Idaho State Quarter was released on June 4, 2007, as the 43rd coin in the 50 State Quarters program, which ran from 1999 to 2008. Each coin in the series celebrated a different U.S. state, with Idaho's design honoring its nickname, the Gem State, and its rich natural heritage. The reverse of the coin features a beautifully detailed peregrine falcon, an apex predator known for its speed and precision. Just above the falcon is the outline of the state of Idaho, and next to it are the words Esto Perpetua, which means let it be perpetual, the official state motto. This design, created by Don Everhart, captures both the strength of Idaho's wildlife and the enduring spirit of the state. The choice of the peregrine falcon also highlights a powerful conservation story. Once endangered, the falcon made a dramatic comeback across North America, and Idaho played a key role in that recovery. Now let's talk about mintage and versions. The Idaho Quarter was produced at 3 U.S. Mint locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Over 500 million coins were struck for circulation, 288 million at the Philadelphia Mint, and 263 million at the Denver Mint. These coins are common in circulation, and in worn condition, most are still worth just 25 cents. However, their value can increase significantly in uncirculated or high-grade mint state condition. Mint state coins graded MS65 or higher can bring between $1 and $5 depending on the market and the demand from collectors. The San Francisco Mint also struck proof, coins in both copper-nickel clad and 90% silver. These were never released into circulation and were sold in special proof sets. The silver proof version is especially desirable among collectors. A perfect PR70 deep cameo, silver proof Idaho Quarter can sell for $20 or more, even in lower proof grades. Silver content alone gives the coin a value above face value, especially if silver prices are high. But there's even more potential value when it comes to errors. Although no major error variety has become widely known for the Idaho Quarter, collectors should always be on the lookout for things like off-center strikes, double dies, clipped, planchets, or missing edge reading. Any of these mistakes can raise a coin's value significantly, especially if it is a well-documented and visually dramatic error. Error coins from the State Quarter series have been known to fetch anywhere from $50 to several $100s based on rarity and condition. Another factor that can impact the Idaho Quarter's value is eye appeal. A quarter with vibrant toning, a strong strike, and no visible wear can command a higher price, especially if it's certified by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. In top condition, MS67 or higher, these coins can fetch $50 or more at auction, particularly if demand spikes for State Quarter Registry sets. As with all modern coins, the value depends heavily on condition, rarity, and collector interest. Even though most Idaho quarters in circulation are common, finding one in pristine condition or with a rare mint error could turn your pocket change into a valuable collectible. So the next time you come across a 2007 Idaho State quarter, take a closer look. Does it have a P, D, or S mint mark? Is it worn or crisp with a mirror-like shine? Could it be a silver proof or a rare error? These small differences can make a big impact. And whether it's worth a little or a lot, every coin tells a story. And the Idaho quarter tells one of natural beauty, conservation success, and state pride. Next up, we're focusing on one of the most elegant and symbolic coins from the 50 State Quarters series, the 1999 Connecticut State Quarter. This coin is not just a piece of pocket change. It represents American heritage, local pride, and the legacy of a historic tree that stood for centuries. But beyond its historical significance, this coin can also hold surprising value depending on its condition, mint mark, or whether it has any rare variations. So let's dive into the story, the design, and the potential value of the 1999 Connecticut State Quarter. The Connecticut State Quarter was released on October 12, 1999, making it the fifth coin issued in the U.S. Mint's 50 State Quarters program, which started earlier that same year. Each quarter in the series honored a U.S. state with a unique design celebrating its history, culture, or natural beauty. For Connecticut, the design featured something that represented both strength and independence, the charter oak. The B Charter oak was an actual tree in Hartford, Connecticut, that gained legendary status for allegedly hiding the state's royal charter in 1687 to protect it from being seized by the British Governor-General. This act of quiet rebellion became a proud symbol of the colony's defiance and the spirit of liberty that would later shape the United States. The tree stood until a storm brought it down in 1856, but its legacy lived on, and it was fittingly chosen to represent the state on its quarter. The design, created by artist T. James Farrell, showcases the sprawling, intricate branches of the charter oak. It's one of the most detailed and visually striking designs in the entire State Quarter series. The reverse includes the words Connecticut, 1788, the year the state ratified the U.S. Constitution, and the charter oak. The obverse, as with all state quarters, features the familiar image of George Washington. Now, let's explore the minting and value. The 1999 Connecticut quarter was struck at two main facilities for circulation, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint, with over 1.3 billion coins produced in total. That includes over 688 million from Philadelphia and more than 657 million from Denver. Because of this high mintage, most of these coins are still common today in circulated condition and are typically worth only face value. However, when it comes to uncirculated or mint state coins, things change. A Connecticut quarter in mint state grade MS65 or higher can be worth around $3 to $5. Higher grades, especially MS67 and MS68 examples, can fetch prices of $30 or more depending on the market and the coin's eye appeal. Coins that have been professionally graded by PCGS or NGC and placed in holders with labels confirming their high grade or special status can be especially desirable to collectors. There were also special proof versions of the Connecticut quarter, made at the San Francisco Mint. These came in two forms, clad proof and silver proof. The clad proof coins were made of the same copper-nickel alloy used for regular coins, but struck with greater detail and a mirror-like finish. The silver proof coins, however, were struck in 90% silver and are worth considerably more due to their silver content and limited production. A silver-proof Connecticut quarter in perfect PR70 deep cameo condition can sell for $20 to $50 or even higher depending on demand and certification. Another area to explore is mint errors. While the Connecticut quarter doesn't have any widely known or major error varieties, collectors have discovered a few oddities, such as off-center strikes, double die obverses, and coins struck on the wrong planchet. These rare errors can bring anywhere from $50 to several $100, depending on how dramatic and rare the error is. So it's always worth inspecting your quarters closely, especially if you notice anything unusual in the design or strike. One other fun fact about this coin is its popularity with collectors who build full state quarter sets. The Charter Oak design is so detailed and memorable that it often stands out in a display. Because of that, higher grade versions are in demand, especially those with strong luster, no contact marks, and sharp detail in the tree branches. A flawless Connecticut quarter is not just a coin, it's a work of miniature art and history combined. So whether you're just starting your collection or you've been sorting coins for years, the 1999 Connecticut State Quarter is worth a second look. In circulated condition, it may still only be worth 25 cents, but in uncirculated or proof condition, especially silver versions or certified high-grade examples, it could be worth much more. And beyond the monetary value, it tells a story of rebellion, freedom, and the enduring legacy of a single tree that became a symbol of American spirit. Next up, we're exploring the Ohio State Quarter, released in 2002, as part of the U.S. Mint's 50 State Quarters program. This coin honors the state's incredible contributions to both aviation and space exploration, and it captures the pride of Ohio's heritage. But beyond its beautiful design and symbolic value, this quarter can also be worth more than just 25 cents, especially in the right condition, or if it has certain rare features. Let's take a deep dive into the full history and collector value of the Ohio 2002 State Quarter. The Ohio State Quarter was released on March 11, 2002, and it was the 17th coin issued in the popular 50 State Quarters series. This initiative ran from 1999 through 2008, with 5 new quarters released each year, each representing a different U.S. state in the order it joined the Union. Ohio became the 17th state in 1803, and its quarter proudly honors its significant role in American history, particularly in the fields of aviation and space travel. The reverse design of the coin is filled with symbolism. It features an astronaut on the left side and a Wright Flyer airplane on the right, positioned over the outline of the state of Ohio. Above them are the words, "Birthplace of Aviation," "Pioneers," and below is the year 1803, which is the year Ohio officially became a state. The design was created by Donna Weaver and engraved by John Mercanti, one of the most respected sculptor engravers in U.S. Mint history. So why the astronaut and airplane? Ohio is the birthplace of 2 of the most important figures in human flight. Orville Wright, who along with his brother Wilbur invented and flew the world's first successful powered aircraft, and Neil Armstrong, the first human to walk on the moon. The coin honors both milestones, the dawn of flight in 1903 and the bold space exploration that followed decades later. Now let's move on to mintage and value. The Ohio quarter was minted in large numbers, just like most coins in the State Quarter series. Over 632 million coins were produced for circulation, around 217 million at the Philadelphia Mint, and more than 414 million at the Denver Mint. Because of these high mintage numbers, most Ohio quarters found in your pocket change today are worth only their face value of 25 cents. However, coins that are in mint state condition, uncirculated and without wear, can be worth more. For example, a 2002 Ohio quarter graded MS65 by PCGS or NGC may be worth between $2 and $5. Higher grades like MS67 or MS68 can fetch much more, especially if they have great eye appeal, no contact marks, and strong luster. In fact, a top-grade MS68 Ohio quarter from the Denver Mint has sold for over $200 at auction. In addition to the regular circulation coins, the U.S. Mint also struck special collector versions at the San Francisco Mint. These include both clad proof coins and 90% silver proof coins. The clad proof coins have a mirror-like background and frosted details, and they were only sold in proof sets. While clad-proof versions typically sell for a few dollars, the silver-proof Ohio quarters are more valuable due to their silver content and their collectible nature. A perfect PR70 Deep Cameo Silver Proof can sell for $20 to $40, or even higher depending on demand. Collectors should also watch for errors and varieties. While the Ohio quarter doesn't have a major widely known error like some others in the series, there have been discoveries of die cracks, off-center strikes, and even double dies. If you find an error coin, especially one that is clearly visible to the naked eye, it could be worth $50, $100, or even more, depending on the rarity and interest from collectors. The Ohio State Quarter is also a key part of any complete 50 State Quarter collection, and because of its appealing design and connection to two major historical milestones, the Wright brothers' invention and the Apollo space program, it's a favorite among collectors. Its popularity adds to its value in high grades and in certified condition. Next up, a coin that celebrates the natural beauty and rich history of the natural state. Released as part of the United States Mint's 50 State Quarters program, the Arkansas Quarter captures the state's cultural identity with stunning imagery. And like many coins in this series, it may be worth more than face value depending on its condition, mint mark, and possible errors. So let's dive deep into the story, symbolism, and collector value of the Arkansas State Quarter. The Arkansas State Quarter was officially released on October 20, 2003. It was the fifth and final state quarter issued that year and the 25th coin overall in the series. Arkansas became the 25th state to join the Union in 1836, and its quarter's design reflects both its natural environment and economic history. On the reverse side of the coin, you'll find a beautiful composition that includes a soaring mallard, duck, a rice stalk, a diamond, and a serene lake surrounded by pine trees. Each of these elements tells a part of the Arkansas story. The flying mallard represents the state's abundant wildlife and waterfowl population, especially important to Arkansas's hunting and outdoor culture. The rice stalk acknowledges the state's role as one of the top rice producers in the United States. The diamond highlights the crater of Diamond State Park, the only diamond-producing site in the world open to the public, where visitors can actually search for and keep real diamonds. The water and trees in the background depict the state's natural resources and its many lakes, rivers, and forests. The design was created by artist John Mercanti, one of the most prolific engravers in U.S. mint history. The obverse side of the coin, like all quarters in the state series, features the portrait of George Washington, originally designed by John Flanagan. Now let's explore the mintage and value of the Arkansas State Quarter. The coins were minted at 3 facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 229 million coins, while the Denver Mint struck around 228 million. These totals mean that circulated Arkansas quarters are quite common, and most you find in everyday change are worth their face value of 25 cents. However, things change when we talk about uncirculated or high-grade coins. A 2003 Arkansas quarter in mint state condition, particularly in grades MS65 and above, can be worth between $1 and $5 depending on market demand and the quality of the strike. Coins graded MS67 and MS68, especially those certified by PCGS or NGC, have sold at auction for $25 to $100 or more. Collectors looking for perfect examples for their 50 State Quarters collections are willing to pay a premium for coins that are flawless and well-centered with no scratches or marks. In addition to business strike coins, the U.S. Mint also issued proof versions for collectors. These were struck at the San Francisco Mint and come in 2 versions, clad proof and silver proof. Clad proofs were made from standard nickel copper and feature sharp details and a mirror-like background. Silver proofs, made from 90% silver, are more valuable due to their precious metal content. A perfect PR70 Deep Cameo Silver Proof Arkansas quarter can sell for $20 to $50 depending on collector interest and silver prices. While no major errors or die varieties have been widely recognized for the Arkansas quarter, it's always a good idea to check for possible minting mistakes. Errors like off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and die cracks can add significant value to any coin. An Arkansas quarter with a major visible error could be worth $50 to several $100s, depending on its rarity and condition. Because the Arkansas quarter features such a visually rich and meaningful design, it holds a special place in many collectors' hearts. Its combination of natural wildlife, agricultural heritage, and the unique reference to diamonds make it stand out from other state quarters. It's a strong reminder of the diversity and pride found across the 50 states, and why this coin program was so successful. So while most Arkansas quarters may be worth only face value in circulated condition, mint state examples, silver proofs, and rare errors can bring much more. Whether you're just beginning your coin collection or searching for high-grade state quarters, the 2003 Arkansas coin is a great piece to watch for, and a beautiful one to add to your collection. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful and want to learn more about the value and stories behind U.S. coins, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new episode. Drop a comment below and let us know which state quarter you'd like to see featured next. Until then, keep checking your change and happy collecting.
And wild Indian blanket flowers blooming below. It's one of the most elegant designs in the state quarter series. But don't let the beauty distract you. Some of these coins carry a shocking flaw that catapulted them from pocket change to tens of thousands of dollars. Let's break this open. At first glance, your 2008 Oklahoma quarter might just look normal, worn a bit. Maybe it's got a few scratches, a little shine left on the wings of the bird. You toss it in your change jar, never thinking twice. But if you knew what to look for, if you just flipped it over and took one more second, you might spot something that turns your 25 cents into $32,700. That's what happened to a coin dealer in Texas who received a box of loose quarters. In it, one single Oklahoma state quarter caught his eye. The flycatcher's wing had a strange bulge. On closer inspection, it turned out to be a die clash error, meaning the coin was struck without a planchet in place, so the obverse and reverse dies smashed together, leaving a ghost image of Washington's face imprinted faintly on the reverse, right through the wings. Collectors went wild. That error, plus its already fine condition, made it one of the most valuable state quarters ever sold from the 2008 batch. Final auction price, $32,700. That's a full college tuition or a luxury car for a coin you could have gotten in change at a gas station. But that's not the only Oklahoma quarter making headlines. Another rare find involved a misaligned die strike, where the two dies were out of sync. This created a quarter where Washington's head was half shifted toward the rim, and the reverse design was off-center. It looked almost like it was sliding off the edge of the coin. A dramatic error that's not only rare, but extremely visually striking. That one, discovered by a young collector at a coin show, later sold for $8,100. And then there's the quiet giant, the coin with no obvious error at all, just flawless condition. One Oklahoma quarter graded double asterisk MS69 by PCGS, a nearly perfect strike with crisp detail on the feathers and petals, shocked everyone when it hit the open market. No doubling, no clash. Just pure, clean, untouched quality. It sold in early 2023 for a stunning $11,400, proving that sometimes perfection is the rarity. Even fine condition coins like the one you're holding can be valuable if they contain the right traits, because most people never bother to look close. But you're here, you're watching, and that means you're already way ahead of the game. Here's what to look for. Faint, ghost-like outlines. Of Washington's face on the reverse, classic sign of die clash. Bulging details near the bird's wings or the text, Oklahoma. Off-center images, especially if the date or parts of the text are close to or falling off the edge. And of course, sharp edges and flawless surfaces, which always command attention at auction. If your Oklahoma quarter has even one of these traits, you might be holding a 4- or 5-figure treasure. And with this coin still showing up in circulation today, the odds are better than you'd think. So before you spend it, study it. One unusual wing, one ghost line, or even just exceptional shine could change your life. We're 3 coins in now, and already we've uncovered thousands of dollars in change most people would never think to check. But wait until you see what's coming next. A quarter with a mistake so massive it made national news and left even expert collectors in disbelief. If you haven't subscribed yet to Coin Hunt Daily, now's your chance. Don't miss what's coming. And if you're loving the hunt and want to support the channel, you can always buy me a coffee. It helps keep the research going and the rare coins coming. Next up is a coin that celebrates the untamed spirit of the West, the 2006 Nebraska State Quarter. It proudly displays the image of a covered wagon rolling across the open plains under the towering figure of a chimney rock, that legendary landmark once seen by thousands of pioneers on their journey west. It's a coin that tells a story, yes, but for some collectors it tells a very different tale. One with a jaw-dropping twist, because in the world of coin collecting, even the most peaceful scenes can hide explosive value. In 2017, a Nebraska State Quarter in fine but clearly circulated condition shocked experts when it was found to contain one of the most bizarre and powerful minting errors ever recorded in the state series. The wagon was there, chimney rock was there, but there was a ghost image of Washington's neck and jaw, bleeding through the reverse, almost like his spirit was looking backward toward history. This rare phenomenon is known as a die clash, where the coin dies strike each other without a coin in between, leaving behind distorted images from the opposite side. Collectors were stunned. The quarter was sent to NGC, confirmed, slabbed, and went straight to auction. Starting bid, $1,000. Final sale price, $34,200. That's right, and for a single quarter someone found while sorting through a small bucket of change on their workbench. And it doesn't stop there. Another variant of the Nebraska quarter, this time with a boss doubled die obverse, began to appear in select regions, and in this version the word saw liberty and the yasses to outside appear thick, almost yes, shadow, especially under magnifications, and it's subtle but unmistakable once you know what to look for. One of these sold in early 2020 at a Midwestern auction for over 8 cents. And it wasn't even a high-grade piece, just a circulated quarter with the right kind of doubling. And yet the most shocking Nebraska quarter sale had no error at all. It was pure quality, graded IMS 68 with full strike and blazing luster. It carried every detail from the spokes of the wagon wheels to the edges of the rock tower in stunning clarity. And when it hit the market, collectors knew what they were seeing. Bidding was aggressive, and when the dust settled, the coin had sold for $600. That's right, no error, no drama, just perfection. But rumors swirl in hushed tones at coin conventions about something even wilder, a missing clad layer error. Nebraska quarter, if such a coin exists, and some say they've seen one, it would appear mostly copper-toned on one side, like a ghost version of itself. If one ever comes to public sale, experts believe it could reach $60,000 or more, simply because of how stunning and rare it would be. Here's how you can check your Nebraska quarters for hidden value. Look at on Liberty and on TTDs. Do the letters and numbers look thicker or doubled? Examine the reverse for ghostly outlines, especially near the wagon or chimney rock. Look for partial copper coloring or faded layers, especially on the front. And of course, don't ignore overall condition. Even fine condition coins can have high value if they include these traits. It just takes one mistake at the mint, and your ordinary pocket quarter becomes a 5-figure collectible. Most people spend them without a second thought, but not you. You know better now. And if you're holding a Nebraska State quarter right now, it might just be your ticket to an early retirement, or at least one unforgettable surprise. We've gone through 4 coins now, each one more incredible than the last, but get ready, son. The next coin in this list shattered expectations when it crossed the auction block. A tiny minting mistake that launched a bidding war like no one had ever seen. And if you're enjoying this journey through America's most valuable quarters, now's the time to get yours. Subscribe to Coin Hunt Daily so you never miss a discovery like these. And hey, if you want to show some love and support future videos, feel free to buy me a coffee. The link's down in the description. And finally, we circle back to a coin that refuses to leave the spotlight, the 2007 Idaho State Quarter. Now you might be thinking, didn't we already cover this one? Yes, but this time we're taking a second look for a completely different reason. Because what if I told you this same quarter, hiding in the same rolls, drawers, and change trays across America, could also be worth, over $72,000? That's not a myth, it happens. While many collectors hunt for cuds or off-center strikes, there's another, far more elusive and jaw-dropping error, the double denomination strike. In this case, a small number of Idaho quarters were mistakenly struck on already printed planchets from other coins, like Roosevelt dimes. Imagine it, the beautiful peregrine falcons soaring high, but on a dime-sized blank. Compressed, tight, and absolutely unmistakable. This was no rumor. In 2022, an Idaho quarter struck on a Roosevelt dime planchet was authenticated by PCGS. The images were all there, just squeezed into a frame too small to hold them. Collectors were stunned. It was like seeing a miniature version of the design, awkward, misaligned, and extremely rare. The final sale, $72,500. And that was for a coin in fine condition, with scratches, dullness, and evidence of circulation. But rarity trumped beauty. This was a once-in-a-lifetime mistake, and the buyer knew it. Even more mysterious are reports of an Idaho quarter struck on foreign planchets, possibly intended for Mexican pesos or Philippine coins. These foreign metal strikes don't just look odd, they feel different, lighter, softer, slightly off color, and one confirmed example fetched over $200 at a small private auction in early 2023. Now here's where it gets really interesting. A sharp-eyed collector recently discovered what's believed to be a kyakiwe strike-through the fabric error, meaning the quarter was struck through a thread or lint that left an imprint across the bird's wing. Imagine a clear line across the peregrine falcon, as if a string was stamped into the coin during minting. That subtle, strange imperfection, it could raise the value of a regular quarter to 6,000s or more, depending on clarity and condition. And even in the absence of dramatic errors, top condition Idaho quarters continue to rise in value. One pristine certified MS-69 specimen with no minting flaw whatsoever sold for a stunning $10,500. Simply because it was one of the highest graded Idaho quarters ever submitted. With fewer than 10 examples known in that condition, it's a gem in the eyes of elite collectors. So how can you tell if your Idaho quarter is something special? Here's what to look for. Unusual size or weight. Use a scale. Color differences. Foreign planches often have a unique tint, design compression or misalignment, especially if the design looks squeezed, and anything that looks off too shiny, too soft, too light, trust your instinct. Sometimes the rarest coins aren't the most beautiful. They're the ones that shouldn't exist at all. And with this second Idaho quarter, we end our journey not with a whimper, but a shocking reminder. The most valuable coins might already be in your home, tossed in a kitchen drawer, or forgotten in a coat pocket. But now you know what to look for, and you're ready to find them. So if this video has opened your eyes to what's hiding in your spare change, do me a favor. Subscribe to Coin Hunt Daily so you never miss another story like this. And if you'd like to support the channel and the endless hours of digging, researching, and storytelling behind these finds, feel free to buy me a coffee. Links in the description below. Until next time, happy hunting, and remember, one quarter, one mistake could change everything